made it through the week. Or maybe you barely did. Maybe you woke up this morning and before your feet even hit the floor, there it was, that heaviness, like your body is wrapped in wet concrete. You went to sleep exhausted and you woke up even more exhausted. And you've been telling yourself, I just need to push through. I just need one more good week. But here's what I need you to hear right at the top of this episode before we go anywhere else. That is not a motivation problem. What you are feeling in your body right now, the flatness, the fog, the inability to feel anything except tired, that is not weakness. That is not spiritual failure. That is your nervous system after carrying more than it was designed to carry, doing the only thing it has left to do. It collapsed. And today we're going to talk about what that actually means, why it happens, and most importantly, what recovery actually looks like. Not hustle recovery, not take a bath and do a face mask recovery, real, physiological, soul level recovery. So stay with me. This one is going to matter. Welcome to Elisha Space, a sanctuary for healing growth and for the kind of honest conversations that actually change things. I'm Elisha, your host, a counselor and author, and someone who has sat in the same step places you have. If you're new here, welcome home. And if you've been listening for a while, I see you, and I'm glad you're back. Today's episode is practical, clinical, but pastoral. We're talking about burnout, not the word we throw around when we're stressed, but the real thing, the neurological, physiological event that happens when a human being has been in survival mode for so long that the system finally powers down. We're going to cover what's actually happening in your nervous system during burnout, why it feels different from anxiety, and why that difference matters for how you heal. And we're going to walk through a recovery approach rooted in both science and scripture, because I believe healing was always meant to hold both of those things at once. Let's do it. I want to describe something to you, and I want you to notice what happens in your body as I do. You are sitting somewhere right now, maybe in your car, maybe in your kitchen, maybe you put your earbuds in before the house woke up because it's the only quiet you're going to get today. And there is a kind of tiredness underneath you that sleep has not touched. That is not new. You've been sleeping. You've been resting, or at least trying to, and still, there is this underneath exhaustion that doesn't move. Maybe you've noticed that you've stopped caring about things you used to love. Not in a dramatic way, just the things that used to light you up. It's flat now. You do it because you do it, but the warmth is gone. Maybe you've noticed that you cry more easily than you used to, or that you've stopped crying altogether and you're not sure which is worse. Maybe someone asked you how you were doing last week and you said, fine, and you didn't feel guilt about the lie because you didn't have enough energy left to even feel the guilt. That's burnout. Not tired, not stressed, burned. And here is what I want you to understand before we go any further. Burnout has a neurological address. It lives somewhere in your body. It is not a character flaw. It is not evidence that you chose wrong or believed wrong or prayed wrong. It is evidence that you are a human being with a nervous system that was pushed past its window of tolerance. And now that system is protecting you the only way it knows how, by shutting down. I want to stop here and say something that I say to my clients in session, and I want you to let it land. Nothing is wrong with you, not in the way you think something is wrong. Your body is not broken. Your faith is not failing. You are not too weak for your own life. You are depleted. That is different. A depleted person does not need more willpower. A depleted person does not need a better morning routine. Not yet. A depleted person needs their nervous system to be restored to a state where healing is even physiologically possible. And knowledge, I always say this, knowledge isn't just power for trauma survivors. Knowledge is safety. So let's build some safety right now with information before we do anything else. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand the difference between burnout and anxiety and why treating them the same way is one of the most common mistakes I see. You're going to understand what's happening in your HPA axis and your autonomic nervous system during burnout. And I promise I'm going to explain those terms in plain language. You are going to learn what recovery actually looks like in stages. And we're going to close it in prayer because I believe your nervous system needs to hear the voice of God over today. This is not a quick fix, but it is a real one. So stay with me. Before I go deeper clinically, I want to share something personal. There was a season in my life, and some of you who have been listening for a while may have heard pieces of this, where I was doing everything right on the outside. I was showing up for the people around me. I was in my calling. I was helping people heal. And I was, quietly and privately, running on absolutely nothing. I didn't recognize it as burnout at the time because burnout didn't look the way I thought it should look. I thought burnout was dramatic. I thought it was a breakdown, a collapse, a moment. What it actually looked like for me was a long, gray, quiet flatness. I was functional. I was performing, functioning, but inside the lights were dim. And what I know now, having walked through my own recovery and having sat with clients who have walked through theirs, is that the path out is not the path we expect. The path out is not push harder, pray more, try hard better. The path out is actually almost the opposite of that. The path out is down into the body, into the nervous system, into the slow, patient work of restoration. That's what we're doing today. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your body. When we talk about burnout, we are talking about a specific failure of a system called the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. This is a stress response system. It's the pathway your brain uses to release cortisol, your primary stress hormone, when it perceives a threat. When you are under chronic, long-term stress, caregiving, ministry, trauma exposure, financial pressure, grief that doesn't resolve, relationship conflict that never finds resolution, that system is activated repeatedly over time. And here is what most people don't know. Cortisol is not the enemy. Cortisol in the right doses at the right times is what gets you through a hard day. The problem is sustained cortisol, cortisol that never comes down. Because when the threat is never resolved, when the stress is chronic and unrelenting, that system starts to break down. Eventually, after long enough, the HPA axis stops producing cortisol at normal levels. And when cortisol flatlines, when your body, in a very literal sense, runs out of the fuel it needs to mount a stress response, that is burnout. Not stress, not anxiety, burnout. Now, here is where it gets important for you in learning how to heal. Anxiety is your nervous system in a state of hyperactivation, fight or flight. Your sympathetic nervous system is running high. You feel wound up, wired, reactive. Burnout is your nervous system in a state of hypoactivation. The technical term from Polyvagal Theory, developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, is dorsal vagal shutdown. Your parasympathetic nervous system, specifically the most ancient branch of your vagus nerve, has taken over. And that branch's job is not rest. Its job is collapse. That's why burnout doesn't feel like anxiety. It feels like emptiness, disconnection, a kind of numb, gray flatness. You're not wound up, you're powered down. And this is why, and this is so important, the tools for anxiety are not the same tools for burnout recovery. Breathwork for anxiety? Yes, breathwork can activate the parasympathetic branch and bring the nervous system down from hyperactivation. Breathwork for burnout? It has to be used carefully because what the dorsal vagal state needs is not more calm. It needs gentle activation. It needs enough safety to start moving back up towards the window of tolerance, towards a state where engagement, connection, and healing are possible again. This is not visualization. This is physiology. Let me say that again because I want it to land. This is not visualization. This is physiology. Your body has a biological pathway towards recovery. God designed it that way. The same God who made the vagus nerve, who literally wired your body with a wandering nerve that connects your brain to your heart, your lungs, your gut, designed a pathway home. We are going to walk that path. Those of you who have been here for a while know that I work within a framework I developed for nervous system healing. I call it the R.E.S.T, R-E.S.T framework. It stands for R, regulate, E, experience, S, surrender, T, trust. Today, I want to walk you through what REST, R-E-S-T, looks like specifically for burnout recovery, because the application is a little different here than in acute trauma or anxiety. For R, regulate, when we're discussing burnout, regulation doesn't mean calm yourself down because you're already down. Regulation in the dorsal vagal state means titrated activation, small, safe doses of engagement. What does that look like? It looks like movement, gentle, rhythmic, bilateral movement, a slow walk, swaying, rocking, something that activates the vestibular system, your inner ear, your sense of balance, which sends a signal directly up the vagus nerve to your brainstem that says, we are safe, we can move, we can engage. It looks like temperature change, a cool cloth on your face, cold water on your wrist. Cold water on the face activates the diving reflex, which stimulates the vagus nerve and gently nudges the system up out of shutdown. It looks like sound, specifically the human voice, your own voice, humming, gentle singing. Your vagus nerve has a branch that connects directly to your vocal cords and middle ear. When you use your voice, even just to hum, you are literally toning your vagus nerve. So, yes, your worship matters. Your prayer voice matters. Not because God needs you to perform, but because your nervous system needs you to vibrate. E, experience. Experience in the REST, R-E-S-T framework is somatic honesty. It's the practice of turning towards what is actually happening in the body without trying to fix it or explain it or spiritualize it away before it's been felt. For burnout specifically, this is where so many of us get stuck because the burnout body is numb. The shutdown is protective. And when we try to do inner work from a shutdown state, when we try to journal or pray or process, we get nothing, just that flat gray nothing. This is not a spiritual problem. This is a sequencing problem. You cannot experience what you cannot feel, and you cannot feel what your nervous system has protected you from feeling. So the practice of experience in burnout recovery is gentle, tiny. You're not going to excavate trauma right now. You're going to locate one small sensation that is neutral or safe. That's it. Where in your body do you feel least bad? Is there warmth somewhere? Is there a place that doesn't hurt today? Locate that. Sit with it. Let your nervous system hear. We are not running from it. Surrender. And this is a theological term, and I want to be careful here because I know some of you have been given a version of surrender that actually re traumatized you. A version that said, stop feeling what you feel, just give it to God. And what that actually communicated to your nervous system was your body's experience is wrong. Disappear it. That is not surrender. That is suppression wearing a spiritual costume. Real surrender is not the absence of experience, it is the presence of God within it. Surrender in burnout recovery looks like this: God, I am depleted. I have nothing left, and I am bringing you an empty vessel, not a healed one, not a faithful enough one, not a performing one, an empty one. And I am trusting that your presence is enough to begin restoration. That's it. That's the prayer. You don't have to have more faith than that. His peace is not dependent on your circumstances being resolved. It is a regulated nervous system in the presence of a safe God. T for trust. Trust in this framework is not a feeling. I need you to hear that, especially if your burnout has been in a ministry context, or if you've been told that your depletion is a reflection of insufficient faith. Trust is an anchor. It is a cognitive act rooted in theological fact performed in the body. The anchor for burnout is this: my body was designed to heal. It was designed by a God who built recovery into the biology. That's not optimism, that's physiology. The body heals. The vagus nerve can be toned. Cortisol levels can normalize. The dorsal vagal state is not permanent. The nervous system wants to move back to safety. It was designed to. Trust in practice looks like giving your body the conditions for healing without demanding what trust in practice looks like giving your body the conditions for healing without demanding that it happen on your timeline. Rest without guilt. Sleep without the alarm. Gentle nourishment. Reduced stimulation. And the permission. This is the hardest part for the person listening to this. The permission to receive. Burnout is what happens when you have given and given and given and not received. Recovery begins when you practice receiving. I want to do something with you right now. If you're driving, just stay present with the road and let my voice be a gentle background. If you can close your eyes or soften your gaze, let's do that together. I want you to bring your hands to your chest, both hands, stacked or side by side, over your heart. Feel the weight of them there. Take one breath, not a deep breath, just a natural breath. Let your chest rise to meet your hands. Now notice your chest is moving. Your heart is beating. Your lungs are working. Without your permission, without your effort, without you having to perform or produce anything, your body is keeping you alive. Now I want you to say, quietly or just in your mind, I am still here. Not I'm okay, not I'm fine, just I am still here. Let your nervous system hear that. Let the truth drop below your thoughts and land somewhere in your body. You are still here. The burnout didn't take you. The depletion didn't take you. The season that cost you more than you had, it didn't take you. You can release your hands whenever you're ready. Take a breath. That, that tiny practice of presence, that is where recovery begins. Not in the grand gesture and the hands on the chest and the I am still here. Before we close, I want to pray with you, not over you, with you, because I believe there is something your nervous system needs to receive today that goes beyond what clinical language can carry. Let's close our eyes together. Father, I am grateful that you made these bodies, that you knit together the very nervous systems that we're learning to regulate, that you placed the vagus nerve, the wandering nerve, through the center of these frames, connecting brain to heart to gut, that you built recovery into the biology. Lord, for every person who is listening to this episode today, who is depleted, who got up this morning already empty, who has been giving from reserves they no longer have, I'm asking you to meet them right there. Not when they're healed, not when they're better, right here in the shutdown, in the gray, in the flat, exhausted middle of it. Would you be a safe nervous system for them today? Would this person co-regulate with you the way a frightened child co-regulates with a calm parent? Just by proximity, just by presence. I speak peace over their autonomic nervous system, over their HPA axis, over the cortisol that has been depleted in service of everyone else, over the dorsal vagal state that has been protecting them. God, you made that protection too, and it was wise, and we are grateful for it. And now we're asking that you walk with them gently, gently back towards life. And Father, for the guilt that they may be feeling about resting, the guilt they may feel about needing, the voice that says that their depletion is a failure. Would you speak louder than that voice today? Let them receive. Let them be held. Let them believe just today that they are not too much and that they are not too far and that they are not alone. In Jesus' name, amen. Before I give you this week's challenge, I want you to do one breath with me, just one. Breathe in through your nose slowly for 4 counts. Hold 2 counts. and out through your mouth 6 counts, like you're exhaling through a straw. Good. That extended exhale just activated your vagal brake. Your nervous system just got a signal. We can slow down. We are safe. Now, here's your challenge for this episode. For the next 7 days, I want you to practice the I am still here anchor once in the morning before you do anything else. Hands on chest, one breath. I am still here. That's the whole practice. Don't add to it. Don't make it a 10-step routine. Just that. What you're training is not discipline. You're training your nervous system to begin the day in a state of presence rather than a state of performance. That's the foundation that everything else is built on. Write it on a sticky note. Put it in your mirror. Set a phone alarm. Do it in the car before you walk in the building. 7 days, hands on chest. I am still here. If this episode met you somewhere today, if something landed, if something cracked open that needed light, I want to hear about it. Come and find me. Leave a comment or send me a message. This community is built on real conversations, not just content. And if you know someone, one person, who is in the flat middle of burnout right now, who has been pushing through and wondering why the pushing isn't working, text them this episode. Don't just share it, text it. I heard something that made me think of you. That's all you have to say. Because sometimes the most healing thing someone can receive is the knowledge that someone thought of them. You can find this episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major platforms. And of course, there is YouTube. If this is your first time, subscribe and come back. We're doing something real here. Until next time, you are not too much, and you are not too far, and you are not alone.